Hey guys, in this video we're going to talk about a custom multi-game cart for your Super Nintendo. I picked this one up off of retrocircuits.com. This is Steve from Restalgia, and let's get started. Hey guys, so as I said, I did pick this up from retrocircuits.com, and I'll make sure I leave all the information in the description down below for you guys to check out, and I will show you guys their website later on in the video, but I did want to talk about this awesome cartridge that I got. As you guys can see, I've got a bunch of games on there. I was able to get 8 different games loaded up onto this cartridge, and as you can see, they've even included my brand logo right in the middle of the custom label there. Not only is it really cool that they made a custom label, but if you take a look at the spine of the game, you've got all the games listed there as well. So if you've got it kind of in a shelf organizer and you've got the game kind of hidden away, you can still see what it is. The other thing that I wanted to talk about quickly is the quality of the shell. This is not your standard reproduction shell. The way that the shell feels is so true to an original Super Nintendo game. It is super solid. You can't really bend it. It feels really good in your hands. It's not flexible. It just feels like a real Super Nintendo shell. What we're going to take a look at is some of the other reproductions that are on the market, and as you can see, these ones are really cheaply made. They don't even have the Nintendo logo there, and when you look at these ones here, it's a true cast of an original Super Nintendo shell, so it's got the Nintendo emblem in there. It really just adds to the authenticity of the actual cartridge. This, on the other hand, is a very cheaply made reproduction case. It's just got one of those snap-togethers. It doesn't actually have screws. It is very flimsy. The plastic feels like it's going to snap in your hands. It doesn't have any of the texture on the outside that you would be familiar with if you are a Super Nintendo fan. As you can see here, they actually use screws on their shells, which, again, is really nice. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to take this apart and we're going to take a look at the board. Go ahead and move that out of the way, and let's pop off the lid. Alright, so as you can see, this is not what your typical reproduction board looks like. And there is a lot of work that goes on into this, and I've chatted back and forth with the owner of the company, or one of the owners of the company. His name's Mark, and he was an absolute gem to communicate with. I'd send him an email, he'd send me an answer right away. He is really easy to get a hold of, and they're very responsive and very open. Now, clearly, they're not going to tell me all of their trade secrets, but what I can tell you is that they built this board properly. A lot of reproduction games that you're going to buy from China, for example, they're not made properly. Yeah, the games will run, but they aren't regulated properly. This board itself, it's got a lot of cool features. You've got things like LEDs, you've got the ability to load multiple games onto them, and most importantly, the major difference between these and, say, one of these Chinese boards is that they are properly regulated for the correct voltage. So a lot of people aren't even familiar with that. A lot of the reproduction boards that you're going to get in from China, they're not regulated for the correct voltage. So what ends up happening is you get a lot of wear and tear on your hardware, and although you're not going to notice it right away, it's not like your console's going up in flames. But we have to be aware that our consoles aren't in production anymore, and as consoles die out, you lose supply and you end up with the inability to access more. There's only a finite supply of original Super Nintendo. So if you're going to be using modified games, you're going to want to make sure they're at least running properly and not causing damage to the internal components of your console. I'll leave a link in the description down below to a video that really explains why it's important to use the proper voltages with your reproduction games. So now when you're looking at these two side by side, there's absolutely no comparison. It is a night and day difference. The Chinese reproduction is really a piece of garbage in comparison to what you're going to get from these guys. Their prices are substantially more than if you were to buy a $30 or $40 reproduction, but you're getting a substantially better finished product. It just looks, feels, and runs so much better. And I'll show you guys some game footage at the end. But in terms of retrocircuits.com themselves, this is their website here. And they've got a bunch of different things. So not only do they deal with Super Nintendo, they also have some N64 things. They've also got some Sega Genesis products, but they've got a ton of really awesome stuff. And I'm going to show you guys a few things. So if we go into the Super Nintendo section and we scroll down, they've got a bunch of pre-made multi-cart games. So for example, this here is a Mortal Kombat multi-cart that they've got set up, and that's going to include Mortal Kombat 1, Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 3, Ultimate, and Killer Instinct on there as well. Yeah, it's absolutely awesome. You can do a lot of customization in terms of the build itself. So they allow you to do things like, if you're going to grab whatever game it happens to be, and in this case we'll look at Star Fox 2, which is another really cool thing, that you're able to get Star Fox 2 on a cartridge, but you would actually be able to change the color of the shell. And additionally to that, if you go with one of the transparent shells, you can go ahead and have them add LEDs like I've done in my cartridge, which is just like a nice feature. And again, I'll show you that when I actually do the live demo. There's also other really cool things that they can do. They can do custom games for you. So if you want to just completely pick whatever games you want, let's say you want 3 or 4 of your favorite games, you just reach out to them and they can make a custom cartridge for you with a custom label. In the event of this, they've actually got a custom Legend of Zelda multi-game cart, which is really cool, and that's going to include 4 different Legend of Zelda games, and a few of them are going to be like the ROM hacks. You've got like Parallel Worlds in there, you've got Goddess of Wisdom, you've got a ton of really good games on that one too, and they're not overly expensive. So I would say you absolutely want to reach out to them if you do like having physical copies of games, and maybe you've got a bunch of games that are a little bit too expensive that you can't afford, but you can throw them all onto one reproduction multi-cart, and you can actually have them to play on your physical hardware. So all that's left for us to do now is to pop this into my Super Nintendo, and we gotta give this a shot. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to notice when we turn it on is you can see that the LED lights up, and because it's in a transparent orange case, it actually makes it look like it's glowing orange, which looks really awesome. Additionally, the other really cool selling feature about this is that when you load it up, they are able to create a custom splash screen. So as you can see, I've got the Restalgia logo on there that says custom cartridge made for Steve of Restalgia by retrocircuits.com. That is by far the best feature of this, of all the little mods that they can do. It's just really cool to be able to see that. If we grab our controller, all we have to do is press the left or right key, and that's actually going to filter through different splash screens for each game that we've got loaded up on there. And now I'm just going to go ahead and load up a game so I can show you guys how that looks and how it runs. Now, I do want to say I'm very well aware of emulation and people loading up games onto their PlayStation Classic, for example, or a Raspberry Pi or any of those things. As you guys know, I make a lot of videos about that. But I do have to say there is something to be said for playing these games on the original hardware. There's just something about it that emulation will never get right. The feel of it is so much more authentic, and the games run so much crisper and cleaner, and it's just an overall really nice experience. So if you are definitely one of those people that wants to play these games on a physical console, you need to reach out to retrocircuits.com. You need to talk to them about maybe making a custom cartridge for you. If there are games, maybe even reproduction or homebrew games that you've wanted to play and you want to play them on physical hardware, this is how you do it. You just reach out to them and they will come up with some really awesome work for you. Now, as I said, the way that these games handle is fantastic. It feels just like I'm playing the original game. A cool feature here is if you just hit the reset switch, it'll reset into that specific game, which is nice. So let's say there's a reason for you to reset. I never use the reset switch, but if you ever wanted to reset it, if something went wrong, if it went all funky, if it glitched out on you, you just got to hit that reset switch. If you want to go back to the main menu, you can either power it down, or if you hold the reset switch for longer than 3 seconds, it'll take you back to your main menu. Yeah, so that's another really cool feature too. You've got a couple quick access features built right into the cartridges. But yeah, I'm just going to show you guys a little bit more gameplay footage, this time of Super Mario World. But yeah, you guys definitely should be checking this out if you guys are interested in physical hardware, or if you guys are interested in some of the harder to find games, or games that actually never were released or don't even exist in physical form. This is a good way to get your hands on them. But definitely, like I said before, if you guys are interested, all the contact information will be in the description down below. That's all I've got for you for this video. Thank you guys so very much for watching. I really appreciate the support. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and definitely leave me a comment down below and tell me your thoughts about these multi-game carts. Other than that, I don't have much else. I'll talk to you guys again real soon.